Georgia, Alabama. Sports Live will be your go-to for all your favorite high school and collegiate games this fall. From the Carver Tigers to the Columbus Blue Devils, the Harris County Tigers and Northside Patriots, the Glenwood Gators and Calvary Christian Knights, the Pacelli Vikings and Brookstone Cougars to the Smith Station Panthers and Russell County Warriors, from CVCC, Pirates basketball and baseball, and every tournament from here to Macon. We are the #1 destination for anything happening in East Alabama and West Central Georgia. Be sure to like and follow us on YouTube and Facebook, and stay tuned for even more amazing ways we will be bringing Georgia, Alabama Sports Live to you this upcoming season. We can't wait to come see you next. What is going on, everyone? Welcome into another edition of the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. Thrift Barringer, and there he is on the banks of the Chattahoochee, live and well after surviving that tornado that just came through. It seems like we got a tornado every other week. It's been pretty crazy, the weather that's come through Columbus here in the last couple months, from the snowstorm, the tornadoes. We just can't catch a break. But Richard Holdridge, how are you, man?
I am doing well. Yes, the tornado did touch down in Midland. I know that we are all safe, so I'm glad that we are okay. Just a special prayer. I want to say a special prayer to the two golfers who were unfortunately tragically killed at Bull Creek. I know that their families are hurting right now, and we're all praying for their families.
Yeah, we are, man, and I hate when stuff like that happens, and our condolences go out to anyone that was affected from this horrible storm. And it looks like this weather is going to be this bad for the next couple of days. We're presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC, Buffalo Rock Pepsi, Gordy Eye Care, Kinetic Credit Union. We want to thank all the sponsors that make this possible. But Rich, we have a great show in store for you today. We're going to be dropping our soccer rankings, girls and boys, for the area, the first one this year. We're also going to be dropping another week of our baseball ratings as we get closer and closer. Richard, I don't know if you know this or not. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, baseball season's done. I mean, where does time go? It's like we just started baseball season. Did. And we'll have those rankings coming up. We'll also talk about the Final Four and that debilitating loss, not just for Auburn, but for Duke as well, obviously. Everybody saw what happened last night. UConn women's back on top, national champions. We'll get into that. We talked NBA and stuff, so we're going to save that towards the end of the season because we mentioned that a lot on Wednesday. And then we're going to talk about where we're going to be at this week and anything else that's going on around that Chattahoochee Valley area. And I guess we're going to start here. The Columbus Clingstones had their opening weekend. 0-2 against the Montgomery Biscuits. I know they lost in extra innings on Saturday. Great job by PME Broadcasting, but specifically Sports Visions 92.1 FM. Jack Johnson on the call. Listen to it on the Sports Visions radio app. By the way, if you don't have that app, that's how you can listen to all Clingstones games crystal clear via live streaming on there. And he sounded great. Sounded like he was having a lot of fun. Yeah, we didn't get the win, but it's okay. I feel like the era has started and underway and can't wait till April the 15th when opening day. Your initial thoughts, Richard, from opening weekend for the Clingstones?
Well, I, too, was listening to Jack on the Sports Visions radio app because I was in Fort Stewart. It sounded awesome, and I know that the Clingstones did not win the 2 games against Montgomery. In fact, they were supposed to play an afternoon game today, but it got postponed to a doubleheader in May.
Yep.
And so the Cleanstones will have a day off tomorrow, and then they will have a 6-game road trip against the Biloxi Shuckers. Let's hope that the Cleanstones can get a win, because right now, the team they are facing April the 15th, the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, are undefeated. So we want to try to get the Cleanstones, get some wins. I tell you, I cannot wait for opening day. I can't wait until Saturday and Sunday kids get to run the bases. They have so many promotional deals, military Thursdays. That ballpark is absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to be there at Synovus Park. And we are now invested in the Columbus Cleanstones. McCabe ended up hitting the first home run. I mean, we're going to see some stars that are going to come out. And I know that manager Cody Cabela is another person of interest that hopefully we'll get to interview as well. And I'm excited to talk Cleanstones. And I did listen to Jack, but I also got a lot of questions. People are asking, well, how can you watch the broadcast? Well, you pull the app, Bally Sports Live. You can actually watch it for free. Unfortunately, I got the Montgomery Biscuits broadcast because it was a Montgomery Biscuits home game. So I got to hear two different announcers, the Biscuits announcer and the Cleanstones announcer, Jack Johnson. I think that's probably what's going to happen when the Cleanstones are at home. You're going to get to hear Jack Johnson on Bally Sports Live.
That's awesome, man. And great job. Again, by the Cleanstones representing the city of Columbus. We'll know when everyone is in anticipation for them on Tuesday, April the 15th. Another team that had a great weekend were the River Dragons. They swept. And listen, what I tell you, it's how you finish. And if they can continue this, Rich, I think the River Dragons have an opportunity to really surprise some people. And you know what? This year, obviously, there's always pressure when you're talking the River Dragon, just because how the fan base is. But, Richard, I think this is less pressure than in years past. Tell me how do you feel about the Columbus River Dragons after a great weekend?
Yeah, great weekend against the Monroe Moccasins. They swept all 3 games. They will take on the Athens Rock Lobsters at home for 2 games, and the FPHL playoffs start Wednesday, April the 16th. They will have game 1 because they're going to be on the road in the first round of the playoffs. If they do play Athens in the playoffs, they'll get to play them this next weekend, and so they'll be familiar with them. And I think that they're playing right at the right time. And I could see the River Dragons stealing a series since they got to go on the road. And they're very familiar with Athens and Carolina. The goal is to get through Athens and Carolina. You're playing your best hockey right now. Don't even worry about anybody in the Empire Division. I know that Beamonton has the best record.
You're just trying to get out of your division.
You want to just try to get out of the Continental Division. And I think that I really like this matchup with Athens because game 1 is going to be in Columbus. Games 2 and 3 are going to be in Athens because right now the standings has Athens as the 2 seed. Columbus is the number 3 seed. I'm telling you, I mean, Columbus not having to travel that far, that really benefits them. And I know that the Columbus River Dragons fans are going to make that trip to Athens for games 3 and games 2 and games 3. But it could be Carolina as well. So we don't know how the season's going to play out, but right now it would be Columbus and Athens in that first round.
Yep, it definitely will be. And looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with the rest of the season with the River Dragons. Again, April the 16th, they got to finish up this week, and if they finish up strong, who knows what can happen for them. We'll be cheering them on, but a big-time series sweep this past weekend, and we hope that the River Dragons continue their winning ways. Obviously, we had the Final Four that just happened this past weekend. I'm going to save that for the end of the show. But what we are going to do is we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back from break, we're going to get into the soccer and baseball rankings and what else happened last week in baseball around the area. And then we'll be able to talk about what's coming up this week. And, of course, we'll have I just lost my train of thought. Final Four reaction right here on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. You're watching right now the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
I'm thirsty.
Try this.
Starry.
It's a lemon lime soda that's crisp, clear, and
So refreshing.
bro, chill. It was a soda. Starry lemon lime soda. It's different.
I'm always on the go. But with the Kinetic Credit Union app, Kinetic is always with me. The Kinetic mobile app is virtual banking at its best. With the Kinetic mobile app, I can easily send and receive money, make a deposit, pay some bills, and I can even open up a new account, all from my phone. And I can monitor all my accounts in one place, all on the go. The Kinetic mobile app, energized banking at its best.
Kinetic Credit Union, the energy for your dreams.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. Thrip Behringer, Richard Holdridge. All right, let's get into it. We're going to start with the soccer rankings. We talked a little bit about it last week when we were getting into soccer talk. In my opinion, and we're going to start with the boys first. Actually, let's go girls first. Pacelli girls are ranked top team in the nation, the number one team in the GIAA, and I fully expect Coach Cochran to be getting another state championship after already getting flag football earlier this year. Outside of Pacelli, who were some of the teams, Richard, from your estimation and research, that could have a good, decent, deep playoff run this year?
Well, Smith Station is 15-2, having a great
Wow.
season. Brookstone is the defending GIAA champions, but they did lose a lot of players. I'm sure Glenwood is going to be competitive in the AHSAA. I think that Coach Miranda, who coaches both the boys and the girls soccer team, is going to get them ready and competitive. Shaw is just in that region with Columbus, Jordan, Hardaway. Just Columbus obviously is the favorite in that region, and I'm very interested to see what Harris County and Northside do. I'm not sure how good Stars Mill or Central. I'm guessing that they're pretty good at soccer. They're pretty good at almost every sport in their region. But yeah, it's going to be a fun season. But if you're talking about teams that could compete for a state championship, you got to put Pacelli, Smith Station, definitely, especially since they are head and shoulders above everybody else. I mean, Auburn's pretty good too. So I think that's a team that Smith Station's got to worry about. But yeah, record-wise, Smith Station's having a fantastic year. That's why I put him at number 2.
Awesome. So number 1, Pacelli, 2, Smith Station, 3, Columbus, who will make the playoffs again, 4, Harris County, 5, Northside, 6, Brookstone, 7, Glenwood, 8, Shaw, and 9, Calvary, and number 10 is Hardaway. On the boys' side, Columbus boys, always in the mix every single year. They got an excellent program. They come in at number 1.
Champs.
Central boys, I mean, is there a sport that they don't or not competitive at? Northside boys, 2, Calvary, I expect in the GIAA. Pacelli and Brookstone both having down years. Again, they replaced a lot of talent the last couple of years, but both those programs were always in the semifinals or finals in recent GIAA. I don't know about this year. I would take Calvary. But what's your estimation with the boys, Richard?
Well, I mean, you got a lot of great soccer in this area. And even with the girls, you have CYSC, you have Concord Fire South. You have some players that play on the club teams. You even have a member of Columbus United FC who plays for the Columbus Blue Devils. I think that when you look at, like, Jordan has improved at soccer. They're going to compete right there with Shaw and Columbus. And how about Spencer, what Coach Allen's doing, what he's done before. I think he's coaching the girls team now, but he was the boys coach, and he got them to the Elite 8 one year. And then Harris County, I mean, we know that they're going to be competitive just about every sport. Brookstone rebuilding a little bit this year, but I'm interested to see how they do in the GIAA. Yeah, a lot of great talent in around the Chattahoochee Valley when it comes to both boys and girls soccer.
All right, Richard, that's boys and girls soccer. And again, Columbus boys, Calvary boys, I fully expect them to have chances to maybe win the state championship this year. And Pacelli girls, another team. And don't sleep on Smith Station girls, 15-2 this year. All right, that's soccer. Let's go to baseball. All right, so the standings are as follows, Big Rich. Columbus and Jordan still tied for first, followed by Shaw, then Hardaway. I think all 4 teams from the 2A region can make the playoffs this year. Shaw, again. Beating teams they're supposed to beat, Richard, and then losing teams they probably should lose to. As of now, we have a game. They take on Calvary tomorrow. I still have, Shaw at number 10. Coach Shackelford's got a good team, young team. Obviously, his best players are the Long brothers, and they're only sophomores this year, Richard. But Shaw comes in as a team that's going to make the playoffs again like they did in years past. I don't know how deep of a playoff run they have in store for them. They're 13-12 on the year, 8-2 in region play. And last week, they did not play any games. Oh, they did play Northside and got smoked 10-2, but Northside's a great program. So they take on Calvary this week. They got Hardaway and Columbus. So a huge week for Shaw. How do you feel about them coming in at number 10?
Well, they're going to be going down the stretch, and we'll find out what this Shaw team is made of when they have to face Hardaway, Columbus, Jordan. They still got to play Carver. I mean, I think that Shaw is going to be a playoff team, but I think that Coach Shackelford has got them prepared, and it really, their pitching's pretty solid. Otis Stevens is a pretty good, solid pitcher. He's been a bright spot, really, in that 3-hole for Coach Shackelford as well. Nathan Truitt, he's come on. Kingston Lawn is another pitcher, but Kingsley Lawn's leading the team with 4 home runs. It was great to see Sincere Ford back in the lineup. He was injured when they faced Calvary, and then Deshaun Mays came back in the lineup. So they're starting to get healthy, and look, they were just playing a very tough Northside team that ended up beating them 10-2 during spring break, but. Hopefully they get to play Calvary tomorrow, weather pending, but they're going to play Hardaway on Tuesday, Columbus this Friday, and it's the home stretch. But I think that Shaw's got everything in front of them and to make the playoffs for the 3rd straight year. How about that? They have hosted the last 2 years, got to the second round 2 years ago. Awesome. And so Coach Shackelford's done a great job with this Shaw baseball team.
All right, now let's go to the Pacelli Vikings, Richard, and they come in at 8-11. Now you're wondering, how is a team with a losing record behind in front of Shaw? Well, for one, they beat Shaw. For two, they played a little bit tougher schedule, and they play in a much tougher region. I don't care about public and private when it comes to baseball. The GIAA region they're in, and the GIAA in general 4A classification is really tough. So Pacelli comes in at 8-11. Obviously, Coach Rasmus has got a young team, had a little bit of rebuilding. Richard, they got off to a 6-3 start. Yeah. Since that moment, they are 2-8. A lot of those losses come to Brookstone, 3 of them. They also lost to Lakeside, a really good program, and they lost 2 of 3 to Westfield. They got Stratford this week, Chattahoochee County next week, and FPD, and then they end it with a 3-game series against Strong Rock and Calvary Christian. They also got to go on the road to Lakeside. When looking right now at the GIAA, and I don't know if they came out with their rankings yet. By the way, we're going to be starting our GIAA, Inside the GIAA show, starting back April the 23rd, Richard. So the final 6 weeks of the season, you're going to get us on Inside the GIAA. So how about that? So can't wait to get that back and up and coming. They don't have their rankings out right now.
Well, they actually do. Right now, Tatnall's 1, Brookstone's 2, the Calvary is 7, Pacelli is 10.
So Pacelli would be in the playoffs. It would not be hosting a playoffs, but they are in the playoffs. Where's Calvary at?
Calvary is number 7.
So Calvary would host a first round, but it would be on the road for the quarterfinals and the semifinals. All right, but Pacelli comes in at number 9, still in the playoffs. That's a great job by Coach Rasmus. That was a senior-laden team last year for that Pacelli, for those Pacelli Vikings. Number 8, how about the Jordan Red Jackets?
How about that?
I feel like they have to be the talk of the town. And if we're going to be given, Richard, maybe a coach of the year, I would lean towards David Lang. 13-5 on the season, 9-1 in their region, Richard, or actually 10-1, excuse me. They are tied with Columbus, and they have won 5 games in a row. They've beaten Hardaway, Shaw, Spencer, Kendrick, Carver during this 5-game winning streak, and they got a massive matchup against Columbus on the road. The last time they lost was to Columbus, but remember, because of an infraction, Columbus had to forfeit that game, so technically Jordan won it, even though on the field it was 9-4 Columbus on top. So this Tuesday, Mike Peacock on the call, mega region matchup against Columbus. If they beat them, we could see Jordan moving in the top 7. Columbus comes in at number 7. I'm going to kind of lump them together. Jordan, right now, the talk, Columbus 13-12. But I told Coach Mathis this. Listen, by the end of the year, Coach, you're going to be where you want to be. They had Glenwood on the ropes for the first time until Glenwood lost to Lee Scott in Game 3 and the second game of that doubleheader on Thursday. Glenwood had not had a game in which they were down. They were down 6-0. It was 6-4 heading into the 6th, and then Glenwood scored 8 runs, ended up winning 12-6. That was the last time Columbus played. They finished off LaGrange at home, Jordan at home, Shaw at home, at Spencer, and at Sumter. I think all 5 of those games could be winnable. And if he goes on a 5-game winning streak, I'm telling you, Columbus will be in the quarterfinals or semifinals in the GHSA for sure. And Michael Nottaman, I think, has stepped up as one of the top players in our area, both pitching and hitting. What can you say about Columbus and Jordan, Rich?
Columbus and Jordan, they're on a collision course this Tuesday for the region championship. 2 great baseball programs, 2 longtime heated rivals. They definitely do not like each other. We know about the history of Columbus baseball, the 12 state championships with Coach Bobby Howard. But Jordan, who is really, they won a state championship in the 1970s. They are starting to become relevant when it comes to baseball, and it starts with their leading hitter, Cade Evans, who's leading the team in home runs. And then Bradley Smith, what can you say? He threw a gem against Hardaway in a 2-1 victory a couple of weeks ago. Columbus is going to be tested this Monday, taking on a LaGrange team led by legendary coach Donnie Branch, who took them to 2 straight state championships. We saw them last year battle against Central on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I cannot wait for this game. If there is a game that's going to be played, probably because the rain's going to move out of the forecast around maybe 5:30ish, and that game starts at 5:30. Randy Jordan Field is a turf field. They will probably play that game. I think that the Calvary Shaw game is going to be canceled because of the field conditions.
And I also think Calvary Shaw, too, neither one of them need that game in terms of with region and stuff. So I'm with you. But that may happen tomorrow. We'll talk about what we're going to be at this week in just a little bit. Calvary comes in at number 6. Tough week last week, Richard. They were on the road at a tournament in which they played some national teams from around the entire nation, from Illinois to Arkansas, and they went 0-4. So they're now 9-10 in the season. All 4 of those losses were to some big-time programs. It wasn't a bad loss, but I know Steve was thinking he was going to at least go 500 or at least get 1 win. They're now 9-10. Extremely tough schedule. He has mentioned how tough it is. I still feel like by the end of the season, Calvary will be there right at the top 2 of the region, top 6 in the GIAA, and at least going to host a first-round playoff. But they come in at number 6. And then tied for 4th with a massive 3-game series this week is Harris County and Northside. Northside, who beat 2 out of 3 from Stars Mill, they're right now tied with Central Carroll for first place in the region. Harris County tied with Stars Mill for second. We got Harris County at Northside on Tuesday, Northside at Harris County on Thursday, and then Harris County at Northside on Friday. We're getting all 3 of those games here this week on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. So huge weekend for Harris County, Northside, Calvary. I would say the top 5 are kind of in a class of their own. Really, Glenwood, then Central Brooksville, Harris County, Northside. I put in the mix, and then I put Calvary and Columbus, and then I'd go Jordan, Pacelli, and Shaw if you were to break it up into different groups, Richard. But Calvary number 6, Northside, Harris County top 4.
Oh yeah, that massive showdown. 2 of those games are going to be at Northside. And these 2 teams are just evenly matched. And I can't wait to see how it plays out. I know that Harris County had a very good spring break, sweeping Eufaula and sweeping Schley County. So record-wise, Harris County's got a lot of confidence. I mean, it really starts with that core group that came in as freshmen who are part of that Little League team that were 2 wins away from going to the Little League World Series back in 2022. Well, they're now freshmen. We know that Northside's got a lot of great players that play at American Little League, and it really starts at the top. Sam Laney, very good pitcher. Chris Biggs, I tell you, I've been so impressed with Biggs as a shortstop and also not just a power hitter, but somebody who could steal bases. Javion Wyndham, also speedy on the base paths. Caden Clay leading the team in home runs, and also he's just laying his body out there in center field, making spectacular catches. I tell you, coaching, especially at the baseball level, you bring somebody back like Coach Powell, who's got a history of winning at the highest level, and it's been the difference. In Northside, it looks fantastic. I cannot wait for that 3-game showdown against Harris County.
I cannot wait either. Top 3, Brookstone, number 1 in the GIAA, number 3 on our list. They just keep trucking along. They had a big-time week, Richard, and playing Port St. Joe, and they were actually on the road in Florida. They lost to Port St. Joe and beat Chipley. So they went 1-1 on the road, and they lost to Port St. Joe 5-4 in extra innings. So they got – here's the rest of their schedule. All region games. 3 games set against Westfield this week. We'll get their 1 game against Westfield home on Tuesday. Next week, a 3-game set against Calvary. We're going to get all 3 of those games, and then we're going to get their final doubleheader, a part of a 3-game set against Strong Rock the last week of April, or the second to last week of April. They come in at 14-3. They're the number 1 team in the GIAA, and I think they're going to be bringing home another ring this year. They have just been sensational. John Woo Kim's been great. Mercer Hudson's been excellent, and I love this Brookstone team, man, and I love what they represent. And Coach Mathis knows he's got a juggernaut, and he's probably going to accomplish something that, for one, I know has never been done at Brookstone, which is going back-to-back.
How about that?
Number 2, Central. Again, another team that incredibly tough schedule. They're ranked top 5 in 7A. They're 24-8, ranked number 8 according to Max Preps. I put them in the top 5. They just beat Pike Road 4-3.
They swept Auburn,
and they did sweep Auburn and smoked Auburn. They got a Smith Station game this week. We're going to be getting them on Thursday, and then they got a doubleheader. Actually, excuse me. They play Smith Station at home, and then they got a doubleheader against Smith Station April the 10th, Richard, which I did not know that. So I want to make sure that I update that. And we're going to be getting the second game of that doubleheader, Richard, that coming up this Thursday. So make sure to stay tuned for that. I may even have me and you in attendance for that, Richard. We may go from CVCC, and I'll help you out with that, and then we go over there and call that, because you're going to be out this weekend anyway, so might as well double it up, and that's a pretty big game. So we'll definitely be there for one of those. But Central, if they finish out strong, which I think they're going to go 6-0 these last 6 games, they got 3 games set against Opelika. They're going to be in the playoffs, hosting a playoff game, and Sam Brown's been sensational. And then, of course, number 1 are the Glenwood Gators. They took 2 of 3 from Lee Scott, so they pretty much have clinched the region. They got a big game against a doubleheader on Friday. Richard, that's senior night, and the regular season's done for the Gators. So they want to finish out strong. They look great against Lee Scott. It was a great game, all 3 of them. Sykes pitched game 1. Game 2 was Hudson Campbell. Game 3, though, was kind of up in the grabs. They ended up losing that one 2-1. It was a great pitcher's duel, and Lee Scott finally gets a win over Glenwood. So here's our top 10. Glenwood, Central, Brookstone, Harris County, Northside, Calvary, Columbus, Sheridan, Pacelli, Shaw. Any other thoughts, Richard, before we move on?
Yes, 2 teams I want to make mention that are on the outskirts that didn't quite make this top 10. Smith Station, who was in our top 10 last time, they did drop 2 out of 3 against Opelika, and they've got a tough series against Central upcoming this week. And then Hardaway. I think that Hardaway's been playing tough. They've been beating all the teams that they're supposed to beat. I think that game against Jordan could have went either way. But I think that Coach Anthony's got Hardaway playing tough. They're a playoff team. I think they're going to break a record when it comes to stolen bases, because Christian Ellaby's got like 35 stolen bases. They got like 6 other players with over 20 stolen bases. I've never seen anything like this.
No.
This has just been incredible. They get on. They want to steal second and third.
Yeah.
And they're just speedy. And that's how they're able to manufacture runs is playing small ball. So, yeah, I want to just give a special shout out to Smith Station and Hardaway, who just barely was outside the top 10.
All right, here's our top 10 for baseball again. Hope everyone enjoyed it. We're going to do this week by week as we get ready to come up on playoff time, which I cannot wait for.
One more team I would hate to not mention this team. Russell County, too. They're going into region play. I talked to their assistant coach, Michael Long Jr. They got a big series against Pike Road. They were able to beat Rehoboth. I mean, they're in their region play. And they also took on Park Crossing without fans for some reason in Montgomery. I'm still trying to figure that one out. But, yeah I want to mention Russell County as well.
They've lost 3 straight, and they take on Pike Road, and then they end it, which we will get this Saturday. By the way, all Alabama teams, their season has to end this week. Calvary will be taking on Russell County this Saturday. So we'll be getting Russell County Calvary on Saturday. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about where we're going to be this week, and then we're also going to rehash the Final Four on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. You're watching right now the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show that is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, my name is Griff Gordy, and here at Gordy Eye Care, we have been serving the Bi-City community for 17 years. As a former state championship quarterback, I love the fact that I can watch local high school athletics from the comfort of my own home. So it was a no-brainer to support Georgia Alabama Sports Live and what they do for young athletes in our area.
And without business like yourself, Gordy Eye Care, none of our coverage would be possible to be able to cover the 16 different high schools, the local colleges, and professional teams. So we'd like to say thank you to you, Dr. Griff Gordy, and Gordy Eye Care for your support of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And you can make an appointment today at Gordy Eye Care with the number 334-291-5125. Keep supporting Gordy Eye Care and keep watching Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Welcome to the Campus Academy Private School, where every student is celebrated for their individuality. With personalized curriculum, students unlock their potential, growing into confident learners. At the Campus Academy, we give teachers the freedom to create dynamic classrooms where every student's voice is heard. Discover the difference. Enroll your child today and watch them thrive.
Back here to the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show, Richard and Thrift, and we're going to put a close on it, talk about what happened in the Final Four. So 2 incredible games, lived up to the hype, thoroughly enjoyed watching it on my phone. By the way, congratulations to Rex Castillo and Brittanyana, which was Arrington, now Castillo. Both of them got married this past Saturday. Was glad to be there at the wedding. It was incredible, beautiful ceremony. Love being a part of it. And was able to enjoy that while watching the games. As a fan of Auburn, obviously, kind of heartbroken. You were leading by 9. You dominated the first half. Second half, shots weren't falling. Auburn, the least turnover-prone team in the country, had multiple bad turnovers there in the second half. And really, ultimately, what it came down to, Walter Clayton right now is just playing on another level. He's just it's Walter Clayton than everyone else with the shot making. Some of the shots he's hitting, the step back threes with a hand in his face, fading away behind the freaking backboard, 3-pointer, 30-footer, and he's hitting nothing but net. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap like, hey, man, you just got a guy. I don't think Todd Golden outcoached Bruce. I think Bruce probably could have called a few timeouts here or there. Were there questionable calls? I do think the referees were inconsistent. I think they kind of made it a game where they had a dictation on it, and I hate stuff like that. But in the end, Auburn made the mistakes down the stretch, and Walter Clayton just hit some big-time shots. And that's ultimately what led Auburn to their downfall. Still doesn't take away from, I think, the greatest team in Auburn history, greatest season in Auburn history. Will Auburn have another chance like this one to win a national championship? I don't know. But if they Houston beats Florida, Auburn can say they beat the national champion, which they did by 5 to start the season. But Johni Broome, you could tell he still wasn't 100%, still gave his all. But Denver Jones, Mazzar was great, but Denver Jones, Tahad Pettiford, Miles Kelly, those guys were terrible down the stretch. Turnovers, couldn't hit any shots. And I think ultimately that's what caused a downfall for this Auburn team. But still, very proud, enjoyed watching them. What an incredible season. Most wins in program history, a Final Four appearance, a number 1 overall season, a number 1 overall seed, and nothing to complain about. On the flip side, if you're Florida, you're just riding Walter Clayton Jr., because you'll never know if you'll get someone that can get this hot again. Because honestly, they probably should have lost against Auburn. They could have lost against UConn, and they should have lost against Texas Tech. Why did they not lose those games, Richard? Walter Clayton Jr. I think this was more about the team. It ain't the team. I don't think it's about the coaching. I think it's about one guy. That guy got hot, and that guy has now, and this is what happens in March Madness, has now led them to the national championship game. So we'll start with Florida Auburn. Your quick thoughts, Rich, before we go to Houston Duke.
Well, Auburn was up by 9. They should have won this game. I didn't understand why they stopped going to Johni Broome. I thought that Johni Broome and Dylan Cardwell.
A lot of 3-point shots.
Well, yeah, you can't just settle for 3-point shots. Look, Walter Clayton Jr. had 34 points. He got hot. You got to tip your cap to him. Florida came out aggressive in that second half. They wanted it more, and Auburn just went ice cold and only had 27 points in the second half, and that's why they lost the game. Yeah, there were some questionable calls, but you're up by 9. You're 25-0 this season when you have a halftime lead of 5 points or more. It's disappointing if you're an Auburn fan because you had this game won. You were dominating them in the first half. I thought that Auburn, I seriously thought Auburn up by 9 was going to put them away. But I think that 9-point lead completely got erased when you had Walter Clayton Jr. hitting those big-time threes. You had Richard with the big steal and the jam. I mean, that was like a big momentum shifter for Florida. And, you got to tip your cap to the Florida Gators, and hopefully Auburn will get back. I know that Tahad Pettiford's only a freshman, so hopefully he'll be back
by the way,
next year.
He came out today in their when they had their, I wouldn't say press conference, but the Auburn fans met in Neville Arena and kind of congratulated on Auburn for a great season. And Tahad says, if you'll have me, I'll be back. So Tahad looks like he'll be back for the Auburn Tigers. But I'm with you, Richard. This was just a tough one to swallow if you're there. A little bit less, not as tough as the Virginia game because that was just a no call that kind of cost you, and then your best player was hurt. I don't feel like Auburn, a lot of there were self-inflicted wounds. But, hey, again, tip your cap to Walter Clayton Jr., he hit the shots. Auburn didn't. They got kind of comfortable in that second half and just wasn't able to, down the stretch, when Broome didn't hit those free throws, I kind of knew where the writing was on the wall and nothing was going down. So Florida is going to be taking on what I think is the biggest shocker of them all. Duke was up by 14. Cooper Flagg had 27. I was like, dang, man, this Duke team, I don't care who wins, Auburn and Florida, they're winning the national championship. And, man, Houston had the most incredible comeback I think I've ever seen in NCAA basketball history, even more so than that Memphis-Kansas game, more so than
the Duke-Maryland game in 01.
Duke-Maryland game, even more so than Texas Tech versus Virginia, in which they were down by like 7 or 8 heading into that last minute, and Texas and Virginia coming back in 2019. I just couldn't believe that Duke blew that lead. That was a choke job, man. And credit to Kelvin Sampson, credit to Sharp hitting the shots, credit to Houston for not giving up. And they got an incredible win. And I think it's a coin toss for who was going to win between Florida and Houston in that national championship game. I'm going to be going for Houston because I'm a Kelvin Sampson fan. And when I look at Todd Golden, not a big fan of his. He's one of those guys that would get in your face and I could just smack him. He looks like he's about 15 years old, coaching 20-year-olds. But let me stop hating. It's going to be a great game. Can't wait to see it. Walter Clayton Jr. versus Sharp. LJ Cryer versus Richard. The size and side between Roberts and Condon. Should be a fantastic matchup. But Houston pulling off the massive upset over Duke. Could not believe what I was watching last night.
Yeah, this is going to be strength on strength. Houston, who's aggressive on defense and taking on a Florida team that was surprisingly very good on defense against Auburn. I think that Alex Condon's going to have to get more than 1 point, though, if Florida's going to have to win. But I want to go to the Duke game because Duke was up 67-61 with 42 seconds left to go. You know, the winning percentage was like 92% that Duke should have won this game. And there was a bonehead turnover. You know, Houston gets a big three, and then Duke gets a turnover, and then the tip-in shot, and all of a sudden, I think that Duke might have panicked because Tugler put that in, and now Houston's down by 1. And then, you know, you put the ball in your head. Tyrese Proctor missing the 1-on-1, the front end of the 1-on-1.
And he has been automatic and come through. He has probably been the most consistent player outside of the Cooper Flagg. And I will tell you, that game-winning shot, for one, Proctor missing that, and then the foul called, which was a horrible call on Cooper Flagg. Absolutely atrocious. The referees in that Final Four are a joke. Terrible officiating. Absolutely horrible officiating. And you, in that moment, I cannot believe that call. But in the end, Duke did choke it, but the NCAA's got to look into getting better officials. And these guys think the game is about them. They let it, and it happens. It's human nature. They allow it to get to their head, and they come in with all the emotion, and they let it get the best of them. And they're not subjective, they're not objective, and they make mistakes like they did last night. But the Flagg game-winning shot, Richard, I had no problem with that. He was just short. I think he was tired. He had been exhausted all game. But, man, John Shire is going to be hard to sleep the next couple of nights because I don't know if he'll have a team as talented as this team. And Cooper Flagg is one of the best freshmen we've ever seen. I don't know if he'll ever get that again. And he squandered what was a great opportunity for them to be national champions and him to write his own legacy after taking over for Coach K. So tough loss for the Dukies. Houston and Florida, I'm going Houston. I think it's their season. I think Kelvin Sampson deserves to win the national championship. And I think they get Houston back on top. Remember those years of Phi Slamma Jamma?
Yes.
Never could win, lost to Georgetown, lost to NC State. I think they finally get it. Guy Lewis looking down right now on those Houston Rockets. And how about Jim Nantz? Hello, friends. And he'll be celebrating too inside the arena, but this time as a fan. Where are you going, Rich?
I hope that Houston wins. I'm rooting for Houston. And I want to see Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler at the game. Please, can we get them in attendance?
Hakeem was at the game.
He was, no, but both of them.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see both of them. Any of the members from Phi Slamma Jamma. Look, this was a beloved team. They did a 30 for 30 on them. They couldn't quite get over the hump. Probably the greatest team to never win a title. I think that would just be a redemption if Houston can win the championship.
I think that's a great point, Richard, and I'll be excited to see how it's going to play out. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Where are we going to be this week? So if the weather permits, which it probably won't, we got Calvary Shaw on the schedule. Probably not going to have doing that game. Tuesday, we got Westfield at Brookstone, triple header baseball. Harris County at Northside, game 1 of a 3-game series, and Jordan at Columbus. So massive implications between these teams. Wednesday, we got Stratford at Pacelli. That's a good GIAA matchup. Thursday, we got Northside at Harris County. We got CVCC baseball and softball, and Central at Smith Station baseball. Friday, we got Beulah at Glenwood, doubleheader. And then we got Harris County at Northside. Richard, you and me will be there for that. And then Saturday, Russell County Calvary and Fountain City Soccer. And so for Alabama schools, this is the last week for baseball. Next week is the last week for Harris County, for the Muskogee County schools. And the week after is the last week for the GIAA schools. So busy next couple of weeks, man. So we can't wait for that. And by the way, we got Casey Smith, the president and one of the owners of Columbus Lions. Looking forward to seeing you on the 18th. Guess what? April the 18th and next Friday, we got the Lions. So not only the Clingstones got their opening series, the Lions are coming back home, taking on an undefeated Beaumont. It is going to be a time here in the city of Columbus, Richard. I can't wait to be there. And Columbus trying to get back on the right track after losing to Carolina 2-1 on the season. Looking forward to seeing Nathan Fleury, some players, and Damian Daniels on the Columbus Lions Inside the Den show this Wednesday live from the varsity, because I know some moves have been made to try to get the team back on the right track. But honestly, I think this was more about, hey, wake up call. If we don't play our best, we can't just sleepwalk through a game. And I fully feel like with the leadership at the top with Casey and Nathan, along with Damian Daniels, the players are going to understand the mission. And I don't know if they'll lose another game the rest of the season, or at least I hope they won't. But we'll get in more detail on Inside the Den this Wednesday. We also got Calvary Coaches Show. We'll also have office hours coming back this week at some point. We should. We also will have, we did Glenwood last week. We'll have Calvary Pacelli Coaches Show. We'll be back as well for this month. So looking forward to doing all those. Richard, we hope everyone had an incredible spring break. Stay safe these next couple of days. And make sure to tune in on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. By the way, follow us on Instagram, because guess what? We just dropped our top 10 for the past week. Richard, you had a call on there. CVCC had a grand slam to take the lead back in the third. I had a call with Mason McCrane hitting a granny and Michael Noneman hitting a granny
Nice.
slam in the same game. Thank you to Riley for putting that together. We're going to try to do that every other week, our top 10 plays, and hopefully we'll see some Lions in that when we got a game on this upcoming Friday. So it should be a lot of fun. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. Please do that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook. And you can see me and Richard tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And we got a lot to recap on the Sports Visions Morning Show. Home in the Clingstones. Sports Visions 92.1 FM. Richard, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yes, it is Masters Week, and I'm pulling for the local guy from Columbus, Russell Henley. But I think the odds-on favorite, I think I'm going to pick my Masters winner. I think it's going to be Scotty Scheffler.
No. Slow down. Slow your roll, man.
John Rahm. I could
don't
maybe
pick
5.
yet, because on Wednesday, Tyler Redmond and Jack Patterson are going to be joining us live from the Masters.
From the Masters.
Richard's always so eager, but no one heard it. No one heard it. And we'll be able to do that.
No, I'm going to change my pick.
Okay.
I'm going to change my pick.
All right. Wednesday show. We'll get it live from the Masters. JP and T-Red. It's Thrift. It's Rich. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. Thank you for watching the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. You're ready to smile.